Welcome to our channel, $1 Million Made Easy. This is a channel where we run numbers for people to help you know your numbers. We got two requests here, and these two are both well on their way to their goals. One is 34 with 182,000 saved. One is 32 with 345,000 saved. They each have different requests. Let's check out their numbers. First person, 34 years old, 182,000. What's the least I have to put in per month to make it to a million? Thank you, sir. I love this channel. That was the request. So this is one of the spreadsheets that we use just to answer his question kind of quickly. He's got 182,000. He's 34 years old. And if he doesn't add another dime, he wants to know how much a month to make it to a million. My question to him back is how soon does he want to make it to a million? And what we show in this, what we do on this channel is run numbers for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years. Nobody knows the future, so we could give up years, down years, or whatever. So we kind of run the full gamut of what you might have. And in the worst case scenario, last 100 years, if we had this 182,000, not adding a dime, we're going to add some in a minute here. It would take 26 years to get over $1 million. You can see it right down there. This is the worst case scenario. That'd be using numbers from 1928. Now, the second worst would be a little bit better. You'd be reaching that $1 million in 25 years. If we use the top 95% of the time, you'd be reaching $1 million, again, about the same time period. So we're looking like at 25 years or so. The median, you'd be making it way up here in 16 years, 17 years, you'd be hitting over $1 million. The median being of the last 100 years, half the time you'd have more than these amounts, and half the time you'd have less. So again, the worst case scenario is down here, taking maybe 26 years to get to that, but that's without adding a dime. Let's start changing some of these and see how these numbers might change. I'm going to change this to a 90% success rate, meaning 10% of the time you wouldn't quite make it to these numbers, with these being the worst case scenarios. But let's go ahead and do, and again, that would be after 24 years, we'd be making it to $1 million. But let's change this to see how it might change. How about $300 a month? It moved it up just a couple of years. What's so powerful is this 182,000. He's already got it working for himself. So these amounts he's changing. He's not going to increase or decrease the amount of years taken to $1 million that much because he's already got this working for him. So let's see, maybe $500 a month. Right now we're at 24 years. Well, he's 34. That'd be age 58. He'd be reaching, no, excuse me, 22 years. He'd be reaching that in, by the time he's, 56, he'd be reaching $1 million 90% of the time, because that's how all these numbers work. Worst case scenario, wouldn't quite make it until 24 years. Let's do $500 a month. See if it moves it up much. Moved it up a couple more years. Again, these amounts he's putting in to increase, to get to $1 million is going to take a lot more each year to move it up. But he's already within 22, 24 years of making it to $1 million because of this right here. And to move that up much, like to 20 years, let's see what it would take to get to 20 years, 90% of the time. Let's see, we're up to, 20 years right here. If he saved $850 a month, he'd be getting to $1 million 90% of the time. Worst case scenario, he wouldn't quite be there. It'd be 806,000 using numbers from 1929. And the second worst is 923,000. So he'd still be just short of $1 million. That's saving $850 a month. But again, because he's got this 182,000 working for him already, he's going to reach millionaire status in 26 years in the worst case scenario, and 24 years in the second worst, and 23 years in the 90% of the time. That's how these numbers work. That's the individual that wanted to know where it would be, how long it would take to get to $1 million. Let's go ahead and look at this person that's 32 years old, that has 345,000. He has a little bit different request. Here's his request. He says, can you run a scenario for a 32-year-old with 345,000 invested? So we're going to go ahead and clear this out. He's 32 years old. He has 345,000 saved up. There's other spreadsheets we can use, but this kind of gives us a quick answer to his questions. He says, and if I never contribute another penny into my investments, uh, and not factoring in any Social Security, and current expenses of 30,000 a year, which would be 2,500 a month, and he wants to begin withdrawing uh, from his 401k as soon as possible. It's 59 and a half. So he wants to have his numbers run with that. So 59 and a half would be, if he's 32, that's 27 years from now. So we're going to be looking at the 27-year column here. Let me get this down here. Sorry, this is highlighting it for, let's see, going to age 62. See if I can get to 59 here. It's not going to let me do the 59. Sorry. We'll be looking at the 27-year column because the earliest you can take Social Security is 62. This spreadsheet's set up to do 62. So sorry, I'm just doing this on the fly. So here's a 345,000. And if he started withdrawing 3,000 a month, what this spreadsheet does is it calculates when you run out of money. And in the worst case scenario, you do not run out of money because this 2,500 that he's needing, which is 30,000 a year, in 30 years with a 3% inflation rate, he's going to need 6,000 a month coming in. And even without taking into account Social Security, taking out 6,068, he's going to be in just fine shape. His money's going to last no matter what. In the worst case scenario, the 10% worst case scenario, all these, this shows you the age your money runs out. Let me show you how this might work if his expenses were a little bit more. Let's say his expenses would double this. 5,000 a month. Still his money is lasting. We're not even taking into account Social Security. That's how powerful this $345,000 is because it's growing after, should be looking at 27 years. After 27 years, even in the worst set of returns for the last 100 years, he'd have $2.905 million. And he's just taken like 12,000 of that out of that. That should be a little bit higher up here. Again, I don't have the numbers set for anything but age 62 on, so I apologize if this is not making sense, but he's going to be in just fine shape. His money going to last. What if we go to 7,000? I just want to find the amount a month just to show you how this works. Even in that case, he's not running out of money. That's how powerful this is, folks, because even in the worst case scenario, he's got 22.905 million, which probably means he's probably going to have to go up to maybe 10,000 a month, which is way more than he was planning on. But just to show you how the numbers work, now he's finally running out of money in the worst case scenario at age 85. That's if he takes out 120,000 a month, today's dollars, which would be 24,000 a month in future dollars, which would be like $300,000 a year. Why? Because again, right here, he's got this 2.905 million working for him. Hopefully this made sense to you. I'm always set up to do these numbers when you reach age 62, because that's when you start taking Social Security. When you start going a little bit earlier than that, this spreadsheet gets a little bit more complicated to read. But this is what he's looking at. He's got 2.905 in the worst case scenario. Second worst, using numbers from 1927, he's got 2.926, and 90% of the time he'd have at least 3.503 million. The median for the last 100 years for a 27-year period, remember he's 32, would be $5.2 million. That's the power of this 345,000. Getting it in there as early as you can, age 32. Look at the numbers he can have. So again, folks, what we do on this channel is just run numbers for people. We just love doing it. Folks, we're all on this financial journey together. All of us want to end up with a comfortable retirement. So I just love to run numbers for people to show them where they might be. I'm so excited to catch these people that are 32 and 34 that have those kind of sums already working in their favor. So again, I will run numbers for you. Just ask in the comment section and be prepared to be amazed. Thanks so much for watching. Please consider subscribing. Please share this with others and please like the video.